There we go. Hey everybody, welcome to the studio. I'm casting concrete sculptures in rubber molds, and I'll show you what I'm doing. This is a previous concrete cast of a sculpture that I originally made in clay. Then I covered it with silicone rubber to make a mold like this. That's the mold. Then I pour concrete into the mold to make copies of it that I can sell at a farmer's market or at craft markets. And I made this one the other day, yesterday. I try to make them hollow so they're not too heavy and clunky. Like if this was solid, it would weigh 15 pounds or so. But yesterday, this is a tricky mold with lots of little indentations, and it just has too many holes in it. I may try to repair it later, but today I'm just going to cast a new one and worry about this one later. So I'm going to take this concrete and put it in there. Easier said than done. I think the technique I'm going to use today is going to be one of layering. I'm going to put a fluid layer in first, almost like the concept of painting the inside of the mold, and really slosh it around and move it to get a good interface with the mold and to get rid of bubbles and in the little details. Then let it get leather hard, and then put another layer on top of it and maybe a third layer until I have a good strong cast with good coverage and not too many of these little unsightly holes here. We'll see how it goes. This is quick setting construction mortar. It basically sidewalk cement that you can just buy at Home Depot. The brand is Rapid Set. I like it because it's easy to keep it fluid by mixing, constant mixing. If I let it sit for more than 5 minutes, it's going to start to solidify too much to be useful. But if I just keep mixing it every couple of minutes, I can keep it fluid for hours if I really wanted to. So it's actually easy to work with if you know its behavior. Water just to wet my chip brush. Yep, just put it in. Let's go. Now I have to just get rid of bubbles that create pinholes in the finished sculpture. I do that just by pressing, making the concrete flow over the surface, over the minute details in the surface of the mold. Basically, by pressing it with the brush, you see how it it flows like that. It's that flow that gets rid of mold, gets rid of bubbles. In contracting with concrete, they use vibration a lot. Like this works too. But if you do that too much, the sand in the mortar will settle to the bottom because it's heavier than the concrete cement body itself. So it causes complications if you do too much vibrating instead of sloshing and pressing and brushing. So I'm trying to keep it fluid and get a good layer, not a structural layer of concrete, but I call it an interface layer. Just really like painting the inside of the mold. Add a little water to keep it fluid. And now I'm going to slosh it around and then dump out most of it. I want motion of the fluid over the surface of the mold. That's what I'm aiming for right now. Not shaking. Whoopsie. Whoopsie. It's still okay. All that matters is that I have a good thin layer, kind of like paint, over the inside of the mold. Structural strength doesn't matter yet. That comes with the next layer. So what I'm looking for and what I don't want right now is the water-based concrete beading up on the surface of the mold, which it's not doing anywhere. So I had enough fluidity to get flow over the surface, but not so much that the water in the concrete beads up on the surface and creates gaps I have to fix. So anyway, we got a good first layer. Let's wait for this to get what they call leather hard, about the hardness of leather. Still flexible, but no slump, and ready to adhere to another layer of concrete, which will be a more structurally sound layer. Boy, that's exercise. Okay. Now I want to keep this concrete. See how it's already solidifying a little bit? I want that to get not rigid, but firm, leather hard. And I want this to stay fluid. So I'll put a little more water in, not too much. I want this to be fluid, first of all, because I want to pour it back in here and just let it flow or slosh it all around evenly. But also because as this solidifies, it's going to become a little bit porous, and it will, almost like in slip casting, it will absorb water from here. So this can be quite fluid for that second layer. Too fluid and you start to lose strength, because concrete shouldn't have too much water in it. I can see the messages, by the way, so if you want to ask a question, feel free to go ahead. And if you want to see what the finished sculpture looks like, just look at the pinned message, the description message for this video, and it'll show my Etsy shop. You can go check it out. So let's check and see if this is leather hard yet. It's definitely got no more slump. I think it might be kind of ready. Why not? Okay, I'm going to pour this. Not that enough. I think it's enough. I'm going to add a little more water. This can be quite fluid when I do this second layer. Because that first layer will absorb a lot of water. That's pretty fluid. If you get any more fluid than this, you'll start to lose strength in the cured concrete. So you don't want to put too much water in the concrete, but this is fine. Okay, here we go. I'm just gonna pour it in there and try to get it evenly and thickly layered around here. Shake it around. Okay, that's a good second layer. Now I'm going to dump out the excess. Now, to avoid holes like this that really just mess everything up, this one's okay. But this one, it kind of ruins the expressiveness of, some people might say it adds to it, but I don't want to get holes like this. The holes like this and that one, I don't mind in the finished sculpture. But that's a little too egregious. So, to avoid this kind of hole, I'm gonna do, I think I'll do a third layer in here after this gets leather hard. So let's add a little concrete to here, keep it fluid while this becomes not fluid. That takes a couple of minutes, so let's do it. This is what I'm using, by the way. Rapid Set brand cement all. I just like it. It's okay. I also use other brands. For a contracting material, it's really expensive, but for an art material, it's so cheap it's almost free. That's ready for another layer. So let's dump it in and roll it around and then dump it out. Yeah, there we go. The places where these holes form are in these high points of these tips right here. Sometimes I'll go in there with a blob of concrete and set it on there, but it's kind of a hassle of its own. That's a different technique. Sometimes it works pretty well, but today I'm just going to try pouring 3 times and see if that works. I think it's going to work pretty well. So let's just go. It would be so easy just to make this, just to cast this sculpture solid, but it would be too awkward and heavy. So when I sell these at farmers markets, I have to physically carry them, and I end up with in plastic bins rolled up in moving blankets to protect them. I end up with about 300 pounds of sculptures that I have to set up every morning in my display. So every weekend. So I care about the weight. Okay, that's good. I'll just dump it all out, all the excess. Let's do it the other way. Come on, go, 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 flow, flow. I think that's good. Now, all I have to do is two things. Put the hanging wire in here and then create an edge all the way around here to give a good border. I don't know if you would call that a lip or a flange or a bevel or what, but I have to have a good border around here just so you don't get razor thin edges, which are not good quality. Okay, so this is going to go right about here. If I hang it this way, it goes about like that. So this will go right in here. And I'm going to need some fairly solid concrete. I may have to add powder to this to make it more like workable like clay. I could just wait, or I could add a little powder. Then I'll have extra concrete that I have to get rid of somehow, usefully. I'll add a little bit. Okay, now that's going to solidify enough that I can work it like clay. Just give it a minute. It's not firm enough to hold the wire yet here, but just drop some in. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay. While that solidifies, I'm going to wash some of my tools so they don't get concrete encrusted on them. Be right back in 1 second. Let's see. I dropped them. Just a minute ago I could tilt this and all the concrete was flowing out of it, remember? Now it's holding. So that's what I call leather hard. And it's ready now to start manipulating a little bit like you would clay. It's not quite as workable as clay, but it comes close. It'll stay put, in other words, where you put it. And I'm just going to leave that. This will hold this hanging wire in there really sturdily. I just want to minimize the rough edges because later I've got to come in and sand them all. And it's hot, dusty, hard work. Now, this is just about solid enough that I can start creating that edge of the sculpture all around the edges. A little sticky and a little fluid still, but it's workable. Have to give it a second. I think while I'm waiting for this to firm up, I'm going to take it out of my mixing pot and wash this pail so it doesn't get concrete encrusted on it. I'll be back in 90 seconds, and by that time this should be nice and firm but workable. Still not firm enough, but I'm just going to go. it's kind of slumping down. It's too sticky. I'm gonna wait a second. That is too wet and sticky still. I gotta leave it for a couple of minutes. Okay, that's about as smooth as I can conveniently get it right now. So I'm going to cover it up, let it harden up, and then I'll have to do a lot of sanding, but we'll smooth out the back later. Meanwhile, I have a little bit of concrete left over, so I'm going to take this other mold of the same sculpture, which turned out not to be a very good mold for detailed technical reasons, and I'm going to make individual faces that I can later on turn into refrigerator magnets like that. I glue a magnet onto the back. Let's go here. There we go. And we'll start on the next cast. Okay, this next one, I'll show you this. This mold makes this sculpture. He's my devil taking a cigarette break. A cigarette. I just sold one of these at Whatnot a few days ago. It's kind of surprising. And this is the mold. But this one sells once in a while. But what's more popular is just a mask version in which I take the mold and I put concrete just around the face part and then put a wire in the back for hanging on the wall. And you have basically a mask that's kind of like that with the ears. So somebody bought one of those at my Etsy shop, so now I will cast it. It's kind of tricky. It's always chaotic, but it works. Okay, so I'm going to mix up some concrete, get it to just the right consistency, and then try to spread it around in here, right up to where the ears are. Then put the wire in. Let it get hard enough that the wire won't move. Then close it and step away. That's what That's the plan. Too much water. Yep, too much water. Still a little too much. Still a little too much. That's better. This brush is wet and it's going to add too much water to the concrete mixture, so I'm going to get a dry brush. Okay. Now there's no easier or non-chaotic way to do this. There's no elegant way to do this, so just watch. The priority is not neatness, but making sure there are no bubbles in the inside details of this sculpture. So just to use every technique I can to get the concrete to flow over the interior difficult areas. The tip of the nose, the tip of these little horn things, the tips of the ears. If I were life would be really easy if I were just making solid concrete sculptures, because then all I have to do is dump concrete into the mold. It's that simple, but I'm trying to make them somewhat elegant. There. Okay, now let's just push it with the paintbrush. Hold on. Hold it there. There. That's getting rid of all the bubbles. It's going to make a good mask. Okay, now I just want this to, wait, gotta make sure I get it all. Okay, a little shaking. Yeah, gotta get the concrete to flow over the surface. That's the best way to get rid of bubbles. Okay, now distribute it as evenly as I can using the brush. Thick enough to be structurally sound. So it will crack up when it's finished. And next, we'll lay in the wire and then let it sit long enough to get leather hard. Oh boy, still too swampy. Okay, that's going to do it. Yeah. Yeah, that'll be good. I'll wait a second before I put the wire back in. Yeah, that'll be good. Okay. Set it still. this is just about ready. It's lost its slump, so it's ready to just set it actually upside down. And okay, so those two casts are done. So I think I'll end it for today. Say hello if anybody's there. I don't know if anybody's watching this.